Welcome to this episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto. I wanted to introduce this episode to promote the new Circus Industry Survey presented by ACE and by the ACA, the American Circus Alliance. Welcome to the Circus Education and Industry Survey. We want to hear from the companies, organizations, programs, schools, individual workers, and other institutions and businesses that are spreading the love of circus in the United States. Whether you run a circus school or program, work as an individual performer, teaching artist, or circus contract worker, or own a circus performance production company, we want to hear from you. You matter, be counted. Every 2 years, the American Circus Educators Association, or ACE, runs a voluntary survey to collect information about circus education in the USA. ACE is a branch of the American Youth Circus Organization, AYCO. This year, ACE AYCO is collaborating with the American Circus Alliance, or the ACA, to expand the survey to also gather information about the U.S. circus performance sector. The goal of the survey is to get as complete account as possible of all circus educators, companies, and workers in the United States. ACE, AYCO, and ACA will use this information to advocate for the circus industry. We know that circus education and performance have a huge impact on the lives of those who work in the industry, but to make a case for our impact on the economy and vitality of our greater communities, we need hard numbers. This survey will be open from April 1st through May 30th, 2022. If you would like additional information about the survey or to view a preview of the full survey, please visit the link or contact us at survey@americancircuseducators.org. I will be putting the link in the notes of this episode. And I also wanted to state that I am now the co-chair of the advocacy committee for the American Circus Alliance, or the ACA. So I actually worked on this survey. I helped to put it together, and I'm very pleased to be a part of this survey this time around, and to infuse new essence of the circus industry into this survey. This is so important. What we do in terms of advocating for circus and meeting with local lawmakers and with senators, with congressmen, in order to advocate for circus. This equals better jobs. This equals better circus opportunity. This equals an easier time doing your circus work. So the impact that we are hoping to have with this survey is really tremendous. It's really big. It's really wide. Everyone that tunes in consistently to this podcast knows that I am a huge proponent of circus advocacy, of us having legislative power within Washington, D.C. To put it, very lightly, or simplify that, it means that the access that you have to your circus job will come with better benefits eventually. And so this is what we want for everyone that's involved in the circus industry, within any capacity that you are in circus. So it doesn't matter what position you hold. It's not just as an artist. It's not just as a producer. It's not just someone in a position of power. We are advocating for everyone, because everyone deserves a voice within this industry. And circus, which we are also vying to be recognized as an official art form, which it is not, we need an act of Congress to be able to do so. So I, along with the other advocacy committee members for the ACA and my co-chair, Aloysia Gavre, have been doing a lot of heavy lifting for the past several months in trying to be face-to-face with as many legislators or lawmakers as we possibly can. And what I consistently promote on this podcast is that it doesn't need to be just us, a part of the committee. It can be you. So whatever city or state that you're in America, you can call your local congressman, you can call your senator, you can call your governor, you can write them an email, and you can speak to them about the concerns that you have within the circus industry and what you want to see changed. If you are struggling right now, which our industry is still struggling, if you are struggling to bounce back, if you know others that are struggling to bounce back, if you have a safety net, but you want to make sure that safety net extends in the future and that it doesn't go away when there is a new global catastrophe. We have the war going on right now in Ukraine. I just want to send my love and my thoughts and my prayers to all of the circus performers and circus workers from Ukraine that have families still in Ukraine. Many circus workers that I've known over the years and that I call friends and colleagues, unfortunately, still have a lot of family and friends that are stuck in Ukraine and that have not been able to flee. And for those now that have fled, that are now refugees in some ways, or have had to seek asylum with different circus companies all over the world, we're thinking of you. And so, again, back to my point, there will always be, unfortunately, something going on in this world that will destabilize this market, that will destabilize your job. So no matter where you find yourself at right now, the best way forward and the best path forward is to collaborate together as a circus industry, a unified American circus industry, and in my opinion, is to unionize. My guest on this episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast is Ève Gagné. Hello, Ève. Welcome
Hi.
to the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you
Me
so much
too.
for coming on.
Thanks. Thank you for having me. It's nice.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we made it. We were having some technical issues.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we made it onto the podcast, thankfully, because you are such a fabulous guest. And we were just speaking about the fact that we have not seen each other since right before the pandemic started, which is really crazy to think about. Like, we worked together right before everything happened, like right before everything shut down. We were in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Yeah. For 1 month, and then everything shut down.
Yeah. I was just like thinking about that, like, before you got on to the call, I was like, things were so different the last time that we saw each other, and who would have thought
Yeah, that's true.
that we would be here now. I mean, and I think it's really interesting, like the last time we saw each other, things were like normal, and then now when we're seeing each other, it's like things are on the opening up.
Yeah, on its way to be normal again, but we'll see.
I hope, we hope, like that they will just continue to progress and
I'll believe it when I see it.
I know, me too.
Yeah.
I keep on trying to like say that and put that out there, but then like every single day something else happens and it's like, oh, well, no, I guess that's not.
No. Yeah.
Not the reality at all. But before we get into more speaking about like your journey and the other kind of questions that I have for you, Ève, I wanted to just ask you to tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are, and a little bit about your background and how you came to being this fabulous Russian bar flyer that you are.
Okay, so, well, first of all, I'm Ève. I'm from Canada, Quebec City. I did gymnastics for 15 years. I started when I was 4, so I did it for all my life. And then I kind of switched to circus because I had friends in circus already, like ex-gymnasts, just like me. And also my coach was doing circus and was porting Russian bar. So when I quit gymnastics, I was 19. Yeah, 19. And my coach knew some guys that were looking for a new flyer because their flyer got pregnant. So they had to kind of find a new one to keep going and do shows because she couldn't do shows anymore. So it just kind of happened, like good timing, good moment, because my coach was like, oh, just go try with them. And then you just if you don't like it, it's fine, but if you do, then it's a good like group and whatever. So I was like, okay. So then I tried, and I think we did like 3 or 4 trainings before they said like, okay, like if you want to do this, we have work to do, but let's do this. Like we're ready to work with you and like make it happen. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Why not? So yeah, I think we had like one summer to train. And then the next year we had shows already. So they were like, okay, you gotta do this. I was like, okay. All right. So we trained. I think we were doing 3 times a week Russian bar, and I was doing also 2 times a week of trampoline by myself, with one of them coaching me. So it was like every day of the week, working out and like trying to get the skill level that they had before me. So yeah, now I'm here. My skills are pretty good. Fine. But yeah, it was a hard moment of training, because there was a lot to learn.
Wow. Can you describe for listeners that might not be familiar with Russian bar, what Russian bar is and what it looks like?
Yeah. So it's kind of like this wide, I would say 10 centimeters or 4 inches, like this wide. And then, yeah, and 13 foot long. And the guys have it on their shoulder, and it's very flexible. It's 3 pole vaulting poles taped together. So it's really flexible. And we just tape it together with duct tape and hockey tape. And then we put pads. It's really like homemade. And yeah, so they hold it on their shoulders, and they just face each other, and then I jump on it and I do some flips, and then they catch me back. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, but it's fun.
It is really crazy. I mean, like everything, like listeners, like Ève is like so incredible. I mean, you're very highly skilled, and like the skills that you do are so crazy and so wild. It's literally like a bouncy balance beam. That's sometimes like the way I like to describe it for for listeners that have like seen like an artistic gymnast balance beam, like in the Olympics. It's like a flexible balance beam, because that's literally how much space you have to be able to like be flipped up in the air and then caught, like you're landing like on that very tiny surface.
The good side about it is like, I go a lot higher than balance beam, but if I go sideways, they can move. So that's like the good side of it, because like I can go sideways and they'll catch me anyway. So
at least you have like some like margin of somewhat like a larger margin of error, I would say, like for Russian bar. It's funny because like for the longest time I didn't know that the pole vaulting poles was inside of like the Russian bar, like for a long time, like longer than I even want to admit that I didn't know. And when someone told me that, I was like, it was someone personal to me who also was doing Russian bar. And I was like, what? How did I not know that? I just played it off like I did. But I didn't know that. Like, it's really wild. And, you know, it's still a very, I would say, like unique medium, especially for those that are not Eastern European, that are not Russian, that are not Ukrainian. I mean, like you're very, very unique, Ève, like with your like level of skill and just doing Russian bar. Like, you know, just for listeners out there, it's not a discipline. It's not a specialty that you see a lot of us Westerners doing, and definitely not at the level that you're doing, Ève. So it's like amazing, like what you do.
Yeah, it's true. Not a lot of people do it. I think also, well, it's hard to like, because it's a teamwork, you know, so it's hard to get 3 people working together and like stay together for so many years, and you have to do that for so many years to get good. So I feel like that's the hard part, because it's not like a solo act that you just do it by yourself and choose your contracts. Like we're 3, so if somebody wants to go 2 years in China, we're like, oh, well, maybe we don't want to do that. So it's all like a teamwork, and the porters have to be really good together, because if they're not, then the bar is going to like crook and like sideways, and it's really like 2 porters is really important. And then once you have that, then you can train the flyer. But if one of them is not sure about what he's doing, then you feel it right away, and then the flyer can't be good. So it's a teamwork.
I trained Russian bar for a very short amount of time.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Ah.
Yeah, a long time ago, like when I was doing banking, which is like group acrobatics. So yeah, I was doing banking, and I trained it because my coach Yuri at the time, he was like, "You are going to learn Russian bar." and and he's Russian. And so, but then after, after a little while, like I like didn't end up doing it anymore. But like, it's terrifying. Like it's not for the faint of heart. Like you have to have a lot of gumption. You have to have a lot of nerve every single day, to be able to get up there and to do it. I mean, like it's very different even than doing banking where, people can catch you with their hands and with their arms and put their body there. But like you have this very wide space too, that your porters are on either end of, like they're not super close to you either. So it really is like all you at the end of the day when something happens or like something goes wrong. I just like have so much respect.
But I think that's what I like about Russian bar. I don't like banking and everything because I don't know if it's because I did gymnastics before and I had like apparatus. Right. But like, because I tried banking and hand to hand and I was like, like I just want to do my thing. Like, don't like control me or whatever. But I think I'm just
in the middle of it.
And like, and when something happens, I did gymnastics for so long, so I have pretty good reflexes. So I know what I'm gonna do. So I don't like to not know what the people are gonna do to catch me, So when I have the bar, I know it's gonna be there, and I just deal with it. And I'm like pretty good at to save myself from stuff. But like, I don't know why I've never like banking or stuff like that. It's just to me, but
I think it's so interesting though, the way that you just said that, because like it's totally true. Like I'm very dependent on partners because like I started out that way. I started out in acro sport and like I'm used to that. And so like it makes total sense. I actually didn't even think about that until you said it that way too. I mean, obviously it sets you apart of being able to flip like individually, because like I always had assistants flipping and being caught. But as a gymnast, as an artistic gymnast, like you were always doing that by yourself. So of course it makes sense.
It's easier for me to just deal with me and then I'll figure it out. But I'm not used to like, I trust them, but when I fall, I know they're gonna put the bar under me, and then if I land like on my back or whatever, then I'm just gonna grab the bar. That's my job if something happens, but their job is to put it under me, so then we all know we're safe.
Oh my God. How did you, like, what was that training process like? Like, how long did it take for you to be able to feel like, okay, like I can land, like I can do a full flip, I can do a whole sequence, like, like, was there times where you were just like, I don't know about this. Like, I don't think so.
I think no, I was just like, I knew it was going to be like a big process, but I think I did learn pretty quick because I did so much training before that, and my skills were kind of already there. Just in gymnastics, it's a lot quicker because we don't have that much air time, so I just had to like relearn my air time and just like slow down things a little bit. But I started to train. I think my second training or my first training, I did backflip, but it wasn't good. They were just like, they just wanted to see if I was like a scared person easily or not, and they were like, oh, do a backflip. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it. but
sold. She's gonna be great. Like, a lot of other like Russian bar flyers that I've met in the past, again, that are not Westerners, that are not Canadian, not American, they come from trampoline. They come from competitive trampoline. So that's like another discipline that's like a very good entry, I would say. Like that goes with really like hand in hand, with Russian bar. Like I don't know how it was like.
I would say it's even better because their technique in the air is so much better than mine. But I had like to learn the trampoline technique after. But for them, I've heard that it's hard to learn because they have to land like feet like one in front of the other, and they're used to like landing like this. They're not used to do beam or whatever. So I've learned that's the hard part for them because they're not used to do this. For me, that's like natural, like that. But I don't know, because then when you start like this, it's weird when you twist and everything is like crooked kind of. But I've heard that's the hard part for like them. But then when they learn that, they're really good because their skills are so beautiful.
Yeah, I love trampoline
Yeah.
too. Another terrifying discipline that
Yeah, I hate trampoline.
not like to try or not
No,
like to
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
I grew up learning on trampoline and stuff too, but then like after like up until a certain point, like I was able to get away from doing any kind of trampoline. And now every time people ask me to go on trampoline, I'm always like, no, no thanks. I'm
No.
good.
Why would I do that? But yeah,
Like,
even for me, like people think I love trampoline. I hate it. I hate it so bad because like when I train for a Russian bar, I train with like bungees, so I'm like
mhm,
strapped and I can't go anywhere. So that's fine, you know. But I don't
mhm.
control anything on a trampoline. I don't like it because I feel like I'm just gonna bounce like so far. But with Russian bar, it's easier because if I do that, they're gonna catch me anyways. I'm not gonna go like anywhere. So I don't know. In my head, trampoline is so hard. It's really impressive, like what they do at the Olympics and everything.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, between that, I was also thinking like diving. That's
Yeah.
another discipline that I was like almost recruited into. Like after like I
Oh
stopped competing too, they were like, you should do diving. Like, have they ever tried to recruit you into diving?
no, I would
Oh,
not say yes anyway. Not used to land on my head first, you know.
oh my God, I know. Could you
So
imagine?
weird. Yeah,
It goes against everything that like
I know.
we understand to do is to like
Yeah,
not land on your head.
yeah, exactly. I mean, after a couple of trainings, it would probably like be fine, but I don't know. It's just also like 5, 10 meters. It's pretty high. Like I've been on top of like the towers. I'm like, no, thank you. But then I do a Russian bar. It goes really high, but you know, I go down. I like go up and down. I don't stay up there. So I think that's the good part about it.
Yeah, you go so
I
high,
go
like
pretty high.
you go incredibly high. Even I would say, even when it's like low, it's still insanely high, like the height that you
Yeah,
get. But
yeah.
circling back around to like competitive gymnastics, like the other thing that I love about your journey is that you came from the competitive gymnastics world, like I did. And that's a
Yeah.
really unique thing, also. Like it's becoming really popular now. Like I would say, probably in the past like 20 years, it's shifted 30 years where people come
Mhm.
from the sporting world, they come from rhythmic gymnastics, they come from trampoline, they come from competitive tumbling, and they come from artistic and from acro, and they go into circus. And so
Yeah.
like I was curious, like how was your experience competing, because you competed high level, you competed for a long time in gymnastics, and
Mhm.
obviously making that leap now, like I said, like it's more familiar now. Like it was
Yeah.
less, I think, like when I retired and
Mhm.
transitioned, it was a bit less.
Mhm.
It was kind of just starting to become a thing where like it would be like a natural transition. But
Yeah.
now it's like it's more of like in your orbit, there's more access and stuff, people kind of know what it's like, even though again still like people don't use everyone doesn't mostly go into Russian bar. I will still say this again, like still very unique. But
Yeah.
how was your journey competing, and did you like competing? Did you like are you a competitor? Because I really liked competing. I was
Yeah, me
the
too.
competitor like at
Me
heart.
too.
Yeah.
Well, when I started, like when I was young, I didn't do like the classic like path of like starting young, really good, and then you just like keep like the high level. I was really bad when I was young. I was not flexible. I'm still not flexible, but when you're young, like that's all gymnastic is, flexibility. So it was pretty hard for me. But then like as I got older, it was a more like powerful skills and stuff. So then I got better and I worked my flexibility too. But
They
yeah, so
stretched
then
me all day.
yeah, I started to like be good, I would say at like maybe 14 or so,
Hmm.
you know, it was late.
Mm-hmm.
And but
I was
then
late too, even at 8.
oh yeah, so
Yeah.
so yeah, so I started to get good at like maybe 14, 15, and then I always liked competing. Like that was like the fun part about it because we trained so much, like 20, 25 hours a week I would do, and then it's like 3, 4, 5, 6 competition a year. So then like when you compete, I was like, okay, finally, that's like what I've been working for, you know.
Yeah.
But and I wasn't really like, I was nervous, but it was like good nerve. I wasn't like scared of it. I was just like excited about it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then competition, I did 2 national championships in Canada, and like
Mm-hmm.
with like the team Quebec and everything. It was really fun. I really enjoyed that. And that's like the biggest like, well, the biggest competition I did, but it was like a lot of fun with like my friends and everything. Like when you're that level, you kind of know everybody, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's a nice community to have
Yeah,
growing up. I mean, it's like a small community, like
yeah,
you're super close because you're always spending time together. Like all of my friends too,
yeah,
like everything that I had revolved around the gym and
yeah, for
revolved
sure.
around like my friends. And I made those friends from when I was really little, and like I've kept those friends. So
Yeah,
it's like you have the same friends for really like for life in so many
yeah.
ways, like connected to them in like a really like interesting way where you guys all worked hard together. You made
Mm-hmm,
it through a lot together, you know.
mm-hmm.
But like I love to hear that your experience that you liked competing, because for everyone
Yeah.
it's different. Some people were like, I didn't like it and I'm
But
glad that it was over.
I feel like people
Never go
that don't
back.
like competing, they're not gonna do circus. They're not gonna perform in front of a crowd like every day. They're it's like different kind of people. But
Mhm.
I was about to say too, I don't know a lot of people that transition in circus, like where in my gymnastic club, but like circus is pretty present in Quebec City, because we have a circus school in Quebec City, and then we have one in Montreal, which is the National Circus School. So like circus in the province of Quebec is really like popular and well known, and there's a lot of circus going on everywhere. We have like a circus festival week in Montreal in the summer, and then there's like street shows everywhere. It's really fun. So it's not like
Mhm.
when I was saying like to people, oh, I'm in circus now, it's not like, oh, in circus. It's like, oh, nice. Like that makes sense for you. It's not like it's popular.
Makes me really happy because like I said too, like before like my generation as well, like people would compete and they would spend all that time and they would get great skill, and then they would never use it outside of
Yeah,
that. They
yeah.
would just like go to nationals, and it's so hard. I mean,
Uh-huh.
like even you just saying like you went to nationals twice, like for listeners, making it to nationals in gymnastics is so
Yeah.
hard. Like
Yeah.
you there's so many people competing and it's
Yeah.
not easy. And so it's like after it used to like break my heart, because like I know a lot of those gymnasts, I grew up with them, and I
Mhm.
was I was young knowing them, but a lot of them didn't get the opportunity to even like think that they
Yeah.
could go to circus. And so like at 18 they just stopped, and it was like all of that skill just like it went into
Yeah.
other things obviously, but they
Mhm.
all felt like I had so much more that I feel like I could have gone to, but I
Mhm.
didn't know, and nobody pushed me like in that direction. Now I feel like people are
Yeah.
much more open to like pushing you in that direction. Like even if it's not maybe not your personality, you can maybe get there and like
Yeah.
be more open to
Mhm.
exploring it.
Yeah,
But
for
it's
sure.
also too a unique thing. Like not everybody like loves competition, not everybody loves like performing or the circus, and some people
Yeah.
get into it afterwards and they don't really love it. And I want to ask you that too, like your experiences, because you are like still like young and relatively new to circus, even though you are obviously been performing like right away at a really high level, which is like again really cool. But
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you too, Eve, like how have you felt like with the circus industry and like getting into it, and being like in your like age range now, or just like the amount of years you've been in it more so, I would say, like how has that felt? Like what was the transition of going into this world where it's like performing but it's also like your job, even though you came from a very
Mhm.
disciplined background and you
Yeah.
kind of know how to work with others obviously and how to make an impact. But I was just very curious, especially now with the pandemic, how did that shape your experience with circus too? I know people on like the older end have kind of like left or thinking about leaving, and then but I'm curious more of like the younger like circus performers, like did
Yeah.
it come to you where you were like, oh, I don't know if I want to keep doing this because of everything that's happened, or were you more of like, I can wait this out obviously, or find my way still and I'm still like inspired to keep going?
Yeah. I think for me, like I've always liked performing, but it's not like when I started circus, I was never like, oh, I'm gonna do my whole career in circus. Like
Mhm.
I just like to flip, honestly. And like I really like to perform and everything, but I'm not like a big artist circus. Like I don't know, I'm not in there. I'm more like a sports girl who likes to flip in front of people and like get money from it. It's like the perfect job for me. But so I never had like a plan to like make a big career out of it. But I was just like, oh, I'll see where it goes. I'll enjoy it, and then like push like and try to get hard skills and like high level, and that was like my goal. Now with pandemic and everything, I'm actually going back to school next year, but I'm doing like distance things so I can keep like doing circus and everything. So I'm kind of still playing it like by the year, I would say, by the day, by the year, just like enjoying like the opportunities that I have because it's a dream job. But then like when I'm ready to be done, then I have it's not a degree, but it's like a little class thing. Then I can get a job easily. So it's kind of like I'm starting my transition right now, but I don't know like when I'm gonna really do it.
Oh,
So yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
What do you think is like the strangest part of the circus industry or the circus world that's like unique to you that you maybe like didn't expect, or that you think people, it would be good to know like before you start getting into like the business? I love that you have like your I wouldn't say backup, but you just are diversifying. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to just stay in one vein of only having a like circus career and that's it. I mean, like
Hmm.
you can kind of go into whatever environments that you want to, which I think is really important for anybody to remember that's in this business, because
Yeah.
you can do like multiple things at one time. And I think a lot of people learn that in good and easy ways, and some people learn that in hard ways also.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of just depends. But, you know, what do you think that is something that like, you know, really stands out to you that maybe you're like, would have been good to know?
um, Nothing like specific. Like everything, circus is really nice. If you travel a lot, you meet amazing people that like live the same thing. Yeah, that live and understand the thing that you live, and like it's really like it's a small community, but it's so big at the same time because it's worldwide. But it's amazing.
Mhm.
The only thing like now that I'm kind of tired of is just to be away from home all the time. Like now, when I was younger, I was like, oh, nice, I'm getting away from my mom's house and just enjoying and traveling and like doing flips. It was fun. Now I'm like, I'm not saying I'm old, but like, I'm turning 26
Because you're
this
not.
summer. I'm not old, but
Only
I'm just,
26.
I know. But yeah, I don't know. I like to be home. Like now I have my place and everything, and like I don't know. It's just like because when we the most of the shows we do is like one show, so we go and come back. So it's a lot of like back and forth. I'm not saying I would rather do long terms. I don't think that's true either. But I think I'm just ready to like stay home for longer periods of time, and that's me. Like a lot of people I know just enjoy like traveling everything still, and they're not 26. But that's personal to me.
Do you think that that is standing out for you more because of the last 2 years? Do you think that maybe changed you, or did you feel like you felt like that like before the pandemic even happened?
Maybe it did
Mm,
something with it. Yeah,
mm,
maybe because I stayed home for two
mm.
years and I was like, oh, that's fun not to have to be in a suitcase all the time.
I know
Maybe,
it affected me.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even think about that, but that makes a lot of sense. That's probably what happened.
Because I'm like a crazy traveler, you know, for so many years too. But even for me, it even
Yeah.
like changed where I was like, wow, I don't know, you know, like this is
Yeah.
nice. Just
Yeah.
being in the same place and it's
Yeah.
accessible, and I don't have to like remember where I am when I wake up in the morning, and you know.
Sleeping in the same bed for three 3 days in a row. Wow.
Ooh, you know? Like
Yeah.
my family always says that like even like my skin looks different, you know, like not traveling so much and going in like
Yeah.
different time zones, and
It's
you know they
it's
got really used
tiring.
to. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tiring, and people
Hmm.
getting used to being around. Like even when I was here, started to be during the pandemic, like friends and family would still forget to like call me for things because they're like, we're so used to not having access to you in different time zones. They're
Yeah.
like, we didn't even think we could call you. I'm
Oh, it's
like,
your birthday? No, but that's true. And like time zones and flights at like 5 a.m. So you have to wake up at 2 or 3, and it's a lot of like traveling. And our job is really nice, but everything like the traveling, like to get there, it's really tiring.
Yeah, I mean, like even
Yeah.
when we when we were in Saudi Arabia, I mean, like when we left there, it was like a really unique, crazy experience. We like
Yeah.
literally had to leave like in one day. Like
Uh-huh.
we didn't know because the event got canceled, so that
Yeah.
another event could happen, which is very, very normal in
Yeah.
KSA, which is the kingdom for listeners out there. We had, I think, an extraordinary experience in Saudi Arabia. That was one of the most unique experiences I've ever had, even though I'd worked pretty a lot in the Middle East. But
Hmm.
again, we wouldn't have connected or met if it were not for Circus that brought us together there.
Yeah.
But it was crazy, like we just like literally in a span of a few hours had
Hmm.
to be prepared to go home.
Yeah. They were like, okay, now it's time to go.
It's literally time to go.
Yeah.
And again, like culturally, like those are things that are just normal in certain
Normal,
in
yeah.
different parts of the world where they're just like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, we're just moving on. You guys were great, everything was wonderful, and now we're moving on, and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
what? What do
I
you
know.
mean?
But that's one of the great part I think about Circus is like I would have never gone to Saudi Arabia if it wasn't like for a show or whatever. Like just like for traveling, I don't think that would have been one of my destinations. But then we went there and it was really a good experience. Like it was super nice to see everything. And people were so nice in Saudi Arabia. Everything
Mhm.
was really, really cool. So that's cool because I would have never seen that in my entire life. And now I saw it. I'm like, ah, great. That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. I
Yeah.
know it takes us to the most interesting and beautiful places. And again, I
Yeah.
think it's just like the biggest education
Yeah.
like that you can get. And you usually get to like learn with others that again, like you do have like like-minded experiences with, because
Mm-hmm.
we're all doing this job, which is beautiful, which is inspiring, but it's also demanding and difficult. And I mean, obviously every single time you work, you risk your life, like literally, like you are without a net, you're without a lounge.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have very, very high level partners that are super,
Yeah.
super expert. But I mean, for listeners out there, I just can't say enough how much respect I have for Ève and everything that you do every single day. I know what it's like to fly, and I kind of like
Yeah.
put my flying, I hung it up a bit. I don't fly as much as I used to
Yeah, but
because I
you did pretty
yeah.
amazing things too. I saw videos. You're as crazy as me. Don't try to.
I don't know if I'm as brave, but I did it, so at least I can understand to a certain degree, obviously, like what that's
Yeah.
like. But
Yeah.
like we're saying, like we change and we grow and we want to do different things. And even for
Mm-hmm.
me, it was as a transition I wanted to make into being more static. So,
Yeah.
it happens. We bend and we move and we evolve into what feels comfortable for us. But I wanted to thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. You're so incredible and you're so amazing. And thank you again for spending this time with me. And I just wanted to ask you, Ève, just for a little bit, just like your last thoughts on the industry, like moving forward, like what you'd like to see for Circus moving forward. This has been such a weird time for all of us in the
Yeah.
industry, and everyone's been trying to support each other. I try to support everybody through the podcast as much as I can, and it keeps me connected to everyone that I've met, that I've worked with, and I like to see where everybody is and how they're doing and
Mm-hmm.
where they're at in their journey. So is there anything that you would like to share just in terms of what you see and how you're feeling about everything moving forward?
I think I'm pretty happy because like I was scared that after the pandemic, some like people or clients or whatever that would hire Circus before, I was scared that like after the pandemic they would be like, oh, like we don't really need them, like we can like use like I don't know, like a music band or whatever, like to entertain the night or whatever. But I feel like now that COVID is kind of leaving us, I think for good. I feel like here, at least in Quebec, there's a lot of like circus thing going on, and like, or just for a corporate event, like they ask for circus, and like I feel like people missed circus during the pandemic, so that's really good for us because it could have done the opposite, and people could be like, oh, we don't need that. That's it. Like that was a waste of money or anything. I don't know, but no, I think it's going on the right direction and everything. Everybody missed it, so now everybody's ready to see like big skills, and people had time to train too during the pandemic if they had like a gym or whatever is their specific skills. But I think people are like the acrobats and the artists are a lot ready to perform big skills now, even after a pandemic. So just if you have the opportunity to go see a show, just go, because it's for sure going to be great. Like the artists are super happy to be performing again. So it's a nice like ambiance now in the circus industry.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
beautiful. That's really lovely. Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
all need it. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Yeah, for sure.
That was perfect. That was the best way to close out the podcast. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Thank you
I
for
really
having me.
appreciate you. Yeah. And I wish you all the best and only good
Yeah.
things. And you're so amazing and so inspiring. And everyone look up Ève, and you can find her on Instagram and see how she flies. The Live Like an Acrobat podcast is also available on Circus Talk, the inclusive, independent, and international online network for the circus industry. Circus Talk's mission is to create a level playing field for this industry and democratize access to information. Please consider subscribing to the Live Like an Acrobat podcast and to the circuspreneurblog.com, where you will find extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, and until next time, please stay safe and stay healthy.